Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over. This week's knife attack at Ohio State University has brought the specter of terrorism back to the U.S. homeland. An 18-year-old perpetrator was a Somali immigrant who appears to have been angry about the treatment of Muslims around the world. Were there signs that this young man could be dangerous prior to his rampage, and what to do now? My next guest is an internationally known expert on national security and counterterrorism, and author of the book, Defeating Jihad, The Winnable War. Please welcome back to the program, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Doctore, great to see you again.
Grazie.
I want to start with just who this guy is, this Artan. He was a Somali immigrant, lived in Pakistan for a while, then he was in Dallas. They figured that out by pulling Catholic Charities records on him. Apparently he was settled by Catholic Refugee and Migration Services. What do we know about this guy, and how did he get in?
Okay, so what we know about this individual now after the fact is that on social media and also in the college newspaper, he wrote about the oppression of Muslims around the world, America's maltreatment, the wars, the global wars, and also how he felt oppressed or in danger if he prayed in public and there was nowhere for him to pray on campus. So that's the only evidence we have right now. But as you said, very telling, not only do we have 50,000 Somalis who have been settled as refugees in the United States under the Obama administration. This individual also came through Pakistan, which is exactly what happened with, of course, the San Bernardino wife. So we have patterns of life, we have connections with other countries where there are such things as madrasas, and this is an issue.
Donald Trump, the president-elect, tweeted this out. He said ISIS is taking credit for the terrible stabbing attack at Ohio State University by a Somali refugee who should not have been in our country. Now, you're a consultant or were to the president-elect. Here's my question. The guy came in when he was 11 years old. He was a child. How do you vet? The president-elect has suggested extreme vetting should take place. What would that look like?
All right, so this is an issue that's very personal to me. I'm a Christian, my father was a Catholic, so we're not Muslims, but they were refugees. And they were vetted. They went through extreme vetting when they escaped communist Hungary. What does that look like? It looks like interrogation, interviews, proving that your value system comports with the value system of the nation that you wish to live in as a refugee and perhaps a citizen. That's what Donald Trump means by extreme vetting. And also we have to remember that here there are places in the world, and the director of the FBI has admitted this, where you cannot do effective screening of individuals because there's no data against which to compare them.
No paperwork.
No paperwork and no databases. Like if you come from Syria, Assad's regime is not going to give us the data to check who this person is, so you go back to square one.
And yet, let's talk about Aleppo while we're here, and then we'll get back to the vetting. In Aleppo, you've got a collapse happening in Syria. The Assad forces have retaken 2/3 of Aleppo now. You've got 20,000 people streaming out of that city and country. Where do they go? What do we do? What should be the American position here? Should we open the doors and say, come to Ohio, come to Iowa?
I've always said, as America is a Judeo-Christian nation, we are obliged to help those who we can help. But that is not a contract for national suicide. We only help those who do not pose a potential threat to the United States. Look at what Donald Trump has said. The president-elect has said we can assist by creating safe zones, buffer zones, keep those people in the region. And let me, Raymond, share with you what a Muslim chief of police told me and my wife when we visited the largest Syrian refugee camp in Jordan last Christmas. This is a Muslim, a Jordanian Sunni, who said, look, we're going to help them because they're our fellow co-religionists. But the idea that they go further west is crazy. He said, sooner or later, the best solution is the refugee has to go back to the place they came from. Why would you want to send them anywhere else? If a Jordanian Muslim chief of the police has that opinion, I think we should listen to him.
Let's talk about the vetting that goes on currently. Right now, you have to be referred by UNHCR, and then you go through the National Counterterrorism Center, then the FBI, then the Department of Defense. I mean, you really have to work your way. Department of Homeland Security. That seems like a lot of vetting. 18 months could take longer, 24 months to gain entry to the U.S. Isn't that extreme enough?
When the Obama administration tells the Department of State, which is the first place you interface as a foreigner, that those individuals looking at the refugee or the immigrant's file are not permitted to look at their public Facebook page. What kind of vetting are we doing at all? Because that somehow impinges upon the privacy rights of a foreign national. You can't make this up, Raymond. It's absurd.
Yeah, I mean,
it's absurd.
Americans' Facebook page are routinely looked at by law enforcement. They impinge our freedoms and privacy all the time. It's called law enforcement.
It is. It's called good intelligence gathering. Let me add one thing. You mentioned the Catholic Charities. This is a real issue. Most people don't know this, but once an individual like a Syrian refugee has been accepted by U.S. government, their file is handed over to the charity that places them in American society. What people don't know is, once that file, that individual, is taken over by the NGO, the federal authorities are not allowed to know where they live for reasons of privacy.
What?
Yes.
So that's why they had to go to Catholic Charities
because
to get
they know the
information down on this guy.
Yeah.
Wow. And we should say, and this is, I mean, it's something we've reported here, $91 million in federal grants each year go to the Catholic Migration and Refugee Services. This is big business, and they're paid by the head. I don't mean to put too fine a point on it.
No, seriously, it has gone from charity to business, and that's not good for national security. National security is not about the bottom line and profit margins.
What should we be looking for as we, I mean, it's obviously young, males from these various countries of import and a hotbed of jihadi activity. This is where these guys are coming from. What should we look for among Americans, people who are now here, citizens? If you were advising our government and the general public, you'd say what? How do we find the next guy?
Okay, there's lots of different issues here. Number one, there's a tactical issue. If you're a Salafist jihadi, they actually practice their religion slightly differently. The posture they use when they pray, how they pray, these are special tactical issues that law enforcement has to be familiar with. Beyond that, look at what's happened in the past. It's not rocket science. The Tsarnaev brothers, even the younger one, the doughy-eyed, innocent guy, right? He was putting on Facebook and Twitter photographs of himself underneath the ISIS flag at home and smiling. So the fact is 47% of the terrorists we have intercepted in America in the last 2.5 years linked to ISIS revealed their ideological propensities on social media long before they executed a plot or attack. It's good research, it's good police work.
Yeah. And ISIS took credit for this particular
attack. Within a day.
Do you believe they actually orchestrated this, or is this just a kid clicking on, finding jihadi rhetoric? Now the kid is radicalized. Is this happening now, and how do we stop it? Is there a way to counter-program this?
Let me give you the data. If this man is an ISIS perpetrator, that would make the 125th ISIS terrorist intercepted in U.S. territory since the caliphate was declared 2.5 years ago. 125. What is the veracity of it? It's very interesting they accepted it so rapidly. That's unusual that it happened so quickly. Is it true? Is he an ISIS foot soldier? My response is, doesn't matter, because he is a fully paid up member of the ideological club. So whether it's Nid al-Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter, the Tsarnaev brothers, whether it's this individual, they have subscribed to and consumed the ideology of the caliphate and that the infidel must be killed. That's all you need to know. That's the connected tissue.
Why is the FBI and law enforcement still saying it's too early to say, Sebastian Gorka, that this was a terrorist act? The guy ran his car into his fellow classmates, pulled a knife on them, which he bought the day before, and started stabbing people, which is exactly what ISIS has been suggesting.
You know why? Because for 8 years, the current administration has denied the relevance of ideology. The Obama administration states terrorism is the result of root causes and upstream factors. In English, poverty and lack of education. The relevance of jihadi ideology or religion per se is absolutely negated, when of course we know if poverty and lack of education led to terrorism, half of China would be terrorists. And they're not. The missing catalyst is always an ideology.
And how do you counter-program it? What can we do in the United States to make a difference?
This is the conclusion of my book, Defeating Jihad. And I go to the Cold War and I say, how did we win the Cold War? November 9th, 1989, the people on the other side of the Berlin Wall took it down. We didn't, they did. Why? Because we had destroyed, through President Reagan, St. John Paul II, and Margaret Thatcher, the ideology of the enemy. We showed it to be a hollow, decrepit nullitude. As a result, we have to do the same thing again. We have to undermine the legitimacy, in this case, not of communist ideology, but jihadi ideology, and we must do that with our allies, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the reformists in the region. So again, it's an ideological war, less a physical one.
Last minute, with the Trump administration about to take power here in Washington, D.C., how will this change our approach to counterterrorism and for dealing with refugees and newly planted Americans who wish harm to their fellow
It will change citizens immensely starting January 20th. If you read the President-elect's Philadelphia speech and his Jonestown speech, he is explicit. We are at war with radical Islamic terrorism. He calls a spade, and now that he's chosen Lieutenant General Flynn, the former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, as his national security advisor designate, this is the man who wrote the book. He wrote The Field of Fight, and it is clear he understands this is primarily an ideological war. So everything changes. No more political correctness.
Sebastian Gorka, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon. Dr. Sebastian Gorka's latest book, Defeating Jihad, The Winnable War, is available now at bookstores everywhere and online. You can also follow Dr. Gorka on his website, thegorkabriefing.com.